3A championship game coming up. We'll be back at Veterans Auditorium in just a moment. The 3A championship game about to unfold. City High trying to win back-to-back championships. The top-rated team in the state, Waterloo East, trying to deny it. The City Hawks with a record of 22-2, and as you see, Waterloo East just one setback this season. Now standing by at courtside, Tommy Thompson, the executive producer of our telecasts and the general manager of KDSM TV in Des Moines. Tommy?
Good evening. With us tonight are two key members of the Iowa High School Athletic Association with functions that are very important to all high school athletes throughout the state. They are Dave Anderson on my right and Alan Bestie on my left. First of all, Dave, you function in the area of prevention drug abuse. Tell me, how do you run that area, and where do you see its status right now?
Well, Tommy, the Athletic Association has recognized that unique relationship that exists between the student athlete and the coach, and between student athletes as teammates. And the association wants to use that unique relationship to help promote prevention of substance abuse. We are holding workshops around the state for our coaches and for our students to better help them understand that relationship, how they can help each other, how they can recognize each other's needs. And we're also going to do some leadership training this summer that will allow some Iowa school people to have some extensive training in leadership skills so they can help our other member schools deal with the problem of substance abuse.
And where do you see this program going in the future?
Well, we hope to see the program expand to the point where we have one of these leadership trained people in every school district in Iowa. And that will make available resource people to schools all over the state for the help they need through their athletic programs to work with substance abuse prevention.
Well, all of that's very exciting, Dave. Alan on our left here, he works with the wellness program. Alan, tell us something about your program and its current status.
Well, Tommy, the Iowa High School Athletic Association is very excited about the fact that we do have a wellness program. We're the only state in the nation that has a wellness program strictly for high school athletes. Our programs right now are developed to increase the awareness and education among community members, athletes themselves, and teachers and coaches in terms of health, safety, and wellness issues. One of the biggest issues that we're dealing with right now in high schools in Iowa is anabolic androgenic steroids. So we've developed many programs about that. In fact, this evening earlier I was visiting with Governor Branstad about the legislation that has passed through the Senate and is now on his desk to be signed that has stiffened the penalty for distribution of anabolic steroids to high school students. We had a chance to have some input in that legislation, and we're very excited about the chance to educate people about that issue.
All right, two very optimistic reports on very serious subjects involving Iowa high school athletics. And the Iowa Broadcasters Association is very much a part of all of this, as we do also our best in order to anticipate and to develop and help drug programs throughout the state. And now we turn you back up to Larry Morgan and Gary Thompson.
Okay, Tommy, you're right. Certainly vitally important. City High and Waterloo East, Gary, and this has all the makings of a great matchup.
Well, it should be. These two teams, of course, went at each other in the first round last year, so you got maybe a little revenge factor for East Waterloo, as, of course, Iowa City Little Hawks won the championship. I think you're going to see an East Waterloo team that's extremely quick. They're maybe not as big as Iowa City, but they're very physical kids for their size, and they play bigger when what they measure up in feet and inches. For Iowa City, they're led by a young guard, Byron Young, who does a tremendous job out there, and then they have some size inside, and Brian Keeter and Michael Rowe.
Well, certainly City High got 2 games further last year than did Waterloo East, but I would think that that experience factor, being in the championship game, probably nullified since both were here last year. Would you agree?
Well, that plus East Waterloo is returning 4 of the 5 starters that they had in the tournament last year, so they've got experience too.
You know, just looking at Steve White down there and certainly reliving great memories of his career, and I was thinking, you know, Pella Christian, obviously, they're going to leave from tonight with some great memories. And, hey, speaking of memories, Gary, let's look at the monitor and relive some other great moments in basketball. You recognize any of these people from the Armory? And I was at number 20. You look familiar?
Yeah, but I don't want to recognize the play. How to hide.
Wait, this is the way that you start a basketball game. This is the opening play against Missouri.
Uh-oh, just a 2-pointer.
Yeah, boy. I think if it had the 3, how many scoring records you would have set? No, it was the game against By the way, this is before color. Nothing's wrong with your set.
No.
Remember that one against the
Well, at least you guys are good to me. Let's see. Yeah, you've got a clip so they're going in.
So, Gary, did you miss any in your
I like the editor of this program.
By the way, that hairdo, it just stayed with it. That's coming back.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it because it'd take about maybe about 40 minutes a day off my life, but then to get the hair ready.
Well, he's made a great transition, certainly, from a great basketball player to a great broadcaster. It's always fun to work with you, Gary, and fun to relive some great memories.
Good to be with you. Well, this state tournament is something special to me because that's where it all started for me, and it was kind of like Potter here as a sophomore. I got started. It was just a great experience.
Now let's take a look at some of the key matchups in this ball game. And you mentioned Byron Young a moment ago, a 6'2" senior guard for City High, and he could make some things happen tonight.
Well, he really can. I think he's the key to their ball club. He's a penetrator, and you have to keep him from penetrating because he makes things happen. He penetrates, gets the shot. If he doesn't get it, he might dish it off. And you have to keep him off the boards. He's a good rebounder.
Now, perhaps matched up with him, and if he would be, what a great matchup that would be an outstanding defensive player in Cortez McGee.
Well, Cortez McGee, only 5'9", where Byron Young is 6'2", but he's extremely quick. He's strong. I don't think he'll have to give anything there physically away to Byron Young. The one thing he does do, he gambles a lot on defense because of his quickness. I think Byron Young might hurt him in that case.
And so a good matchup with the guard, certainly a good matchup inside, and we'll be back with the starting lineups after this word from your local station. The stage now set for the final game of the 1989-90 high school basketball season, excluding all-star games, the 3A championship game. Let's go to meet the participants. Here's the public address announcer, Don Euchre.
It's time for basketball. This is the Class 3A championship game. The visitors on the scoreboard from Iowa City, the Little Hawks. The home team on the scoreboard from Waterloo East, the Trojans. Let's meet the reserves and assistant coach for Iowa City. Number 23, Jason Lomanick. Number 33, Scott Keeter. Number 41, Brian Atkins. Number 51, Todd Kennedy. Number 5, David Austin. Number 11, Robert Moore. Number 13, Chad Mahia. Number 15, David Smucker. Number 31, Peter Simons. Number 45, Greg Shank. And assistant coach, Bob Robinson. And now for Waterloo East, the reserves. Number 5, Andre Galloway. Number 22, Tellis Scott. Number 42, Tyrone Williams. Number 54, Brian Ross. Number 4, Cedric Robinson. Number 14, Tim Eilers. Number 24, Antoine Banks. Number 30, Jeff Hawkins. Number 50, Horace Corley. Number 51, Brandon Boniface. And assistant coaches, Brian Jones and Larry Jones. Here is your starting lineup. For the Little Hawks, at forward, wearing number 25, a 6'4" senior, Blake Schultz. At forward for the Trojans, wearing number 34, a 6'2" junior, Rodney Wallaken. Forward for the Little Hawks, wearing number 43, a 6'4" senior, Michael Rowan. At forward for the Trojans, wearing number 35, a 6'3" senior, Chris Roby. At center for the Little Hawks, wearing number 55, a 6'8" senior, Brian Keeter. Center for the Trojans, wearing number 40, a 6'5" senior, Mike Davis. At guard for the Little Hawks, wearing number 21, a 6' senior, Shad Flynn. At guard for the Trojans, wearing number 32, a 5'11" senior, LaShane Sadler. Guard for the Little Hawks, wearing number 35, a 6'2" senior, Byron Young. And at guard for the Trojans, wearing number 10, a 5'9" senior, Cortez McGee. The coach for Iowa City Little Hawks is Jim Linder. The coach for Waterloo East Trojans, Steve McGraw. Ladies and gentlemen, your officials. The referee, Gary Christensen of Mason City. The umpire, Craig Snyder of Osage. And the bench official, Martin Weirda of Sioux Center. And now, let's play basketball.
And just before tip-off, Gary, let's look at how the teams got to the finals.
We see Iowa City High, fairly easy one in the first round against West Des Moines Valley, big margin, and then had the scare of their life as they could not connect from the free throw line. 1 out of 9, I think it was, in the last 2 minutes. And then you see Waterloo East, easy one for them in the first round, 69-55, and then Mike Davis rescued him against an fine Indianola team.
And we get ready for the center jump. That's the way they match up statistically.
Hey, look at those defensive averages, 66 for Waterloo East and 60 for Iowa City. And good shooting teams again. Iowa City at 52%.
6'8" Keeter jumps against 6'3" Roby. Keeter in the red for City High, Roby in the white for Waterloo East. And it's the defending champion Little Hawks coming out with the basketball first. And right away they go baseline to Keeter, who scores. Keeter, a 67% field goal shooter, so when they get the ball to him on the baseline, he's deadly. Trying to answer inside is Roby, and the shot goes down. A foul is spotted. And I believe the basket will count. It does.
And watch it go inside. And then Roby going away. He double pumps it right there and takes it away from Rowan. Rowan just kind of gets him on the elbow. And Iowa City, I don't know if they have the depth. They've got to stay out of foul trouble. They cannot get their front liners in a foul situation.
I think the big statistic for Waterloo East in this tournament, they're rebounding. In 2 games, they have out-rebounded opponents 96-67.
Yeah, and here's what you have to really fight, is this full court man-for-man pressure. You got to watch out. Sometimes they'll come out on the throw-in, and they'll trap you. They'll double up on you.
Young at the outset of the game, paired up against LaShane Sadler. Coming up with a swipe, the very quick Cortez McGee. And Waterloo East retains possession. The ball out of bounds off the Little Hawks.
Well, in that first series, Byron Young tried to do what he does best, and that's penetrate. But Mike Davis, umbrellaing inside, cut him off.
McGee for 3 and ripping the ball down. The Little Hawks coming up with the Karen Michael Roan. The three-point try by Shad Flynn, and underneath the rebound, put up and in. The basket will count, and a foul is called on Mike Davis. Davis got into early foul problems the other day in the semifinals against Indianola. When he was out, the Indians started making a run.
Well, you see the long shot going up here. It comes off. Ball tipped around, falls right in the hands of Keeter. And then Davis with the foul. As you said, East Waterloo cannot afford to have this young man in foul trouble. 6'5", 195, and a great leaper inside.
The free throw won't go when City High continues the trend that started, as Gary pointed out, the final quarter yesterday. With the rebound is Chris Roby.
And that ball banged up it pretty hard. I don't know if there's a little tightness in the early part of this game or not.
Watch Davis. Oh, he's a great baseline player. The rebound is no good, and the rebound's taken down by Michael Roan.
Well, what I've seen of Rodney Wallakin, he goes for an offensive class, so Iowa City going to do a good job of blocking off.
Off the baseline, Michael Roan, who's headed for Wisconsin on a football scholarship, connects, and the Little Hawks go on top 6-3. Davis in deep. That time he challenged Skeeter and scored on him.
I think he's left-handed, so you've got to play him at least a quarter of a man on his right shoulder when he's got his back to the basket. You got to take that move away from him, make him turn in to the middle.
Good pass. It is Peter. Oh, it was a good pass, good execution.
Well, the two seniors showing they maybe know each other pretty well.
What quick transition by Waterloo East as Davis comes down and converts at the other end.
That's a killer when you work hard to get to, and then boom, they hit you in about 5 seconds time. Great quickness on his East Waterloo team.
Schultz crossing the timeline and getting it off to Young. Byron Young, outstanding driver. Now Flynn will try, and with the rebound is Peter.
Well, there's that size you're talking about. Peter, 6'8".
Averages 17 points, 8 rebounds a game. Off to a quick start. Here's Cortez McGee, 0 for 2 early.
Yeah, he's really a scorer and not a shooter. So he's a streaky guy. If he gets off to a bad start, it might be trouble for East Waterloo.
Blake Schultz came down and nobody picked him up.
Well, he's the penetrator. That's where you got to keep him out, is penetrating the basket. That's where he becomes real tough. And this guy, his coach says he's a money player, and this is a money game.
Boy, that's for certain. Davis, 3 quick baskets, 12-9, City High on top. And bringing it ahead, Byron Young.
We got Lashane Sadler covering up on Byron Young. We thought we might see McGee.
The basket counts by Flynn. We mentioned that Roan headed for Wisconsin on a scholarship. Sadler headed for Notre Dame on a scholarship.
All right, here goes Chad Flynn. This is surprising. You see the rake by McGee. Surprising to me, not that the fact that he's shooting the ball down, but in the first 2 games, he's 1 for 7, 0 for 4, and then 1 for 3 in shooting. And he's coming out really aggressive offensively.
Just one. Probably decided enough was enough with the misses. Cortez McGee with his first personal foul and to the line. Chad Flynn, an outstanding athlete, also plays football, baseball, and runs track at City High. He completes the 3-point play, and the City High lead grows to 6. 4:57 to go in the opening quarter of the 3A championship game. Tella Scott inserted into the lineup very quickly for East. That is Scott with the ball, and he travels with it.
Iowa City in a 2-3 zone.
There's Tim Linder on the bench for City High, a native of Ames, played in the state tournament twice, 1969 and 1970. Gary, that's when you were breaking into the broadcast business, isn't it?
Yes, I was working some games there in Ames when he was in high school. That's quite a while ago when you figure he's now a coach.
Of course, George Duval, the head coach at Ames in those days. On the baseline, a soft turnaround by Roan, his second hoop.
We're getting some nice shots right now. Keep in mind, this is almost a 53% shooting team.
And it's a 5-point win for City High. The shot won't go for Tyrone Williams as Coach Steve McGraw going quickly to his bench, bringing Williams and Scott off the bench.
Well, I like this Tyrone Williams. 6'3", 180, a good athlete and a very consistent performer.
White Davis picks up his second foul, and that spells trouble for the Trojans right away.
Certainly does. So we've got a man coming in. Let's see. Right there. Over-aggressive, over the top.
And so Davis will have to go to the bench at the 4:16 mark in the first quarter. Cortez McGee, who's been out briefly, comes back in. City High with an 8-point lead and the basketball. And they also have a 5-point run underway as Peter misses. Rebound underneath by Roan. Taken away from him, though, by Tyrone Williams. Williams has done a good job off the bench in both games for the Trojans. Has averaged 6 points off the bench here in the state tournament. Ella Scott leaving it short. And the rebound is claimed by Brian Keeter. And Keeter with 3 quick rebounds.
Well, we talked about rebounding. Iowa City is no slouch. They out-rebounded a good Ankeny ball club 47-25.
Scott goes baseline. Yes. Byron Young connects. And it's a 10-point lead early for City High.
Young, an all-conference player, and holds the school record in assists, and that comes off that penetration. If you pick him up, he dishes off.
And Cortez McGee, who missed his first 2, now gets in the scoring column.
Well, he's not bashful. He's got the old theory that he never found a shot he didn't like. The problem is he's only hitting 39% in the first 2 ball games.
Young going for 2 in a row, not this time, and coming up with a loose basketball is Tella Scott. So here come the Trojans, down by 8. Pulling up is Galloway, and the follow shot there by Scott. City High a moment ago up by 8. Now the lead shaved to 6. Jason Lomenick, number 23, is coming to the lineup for City High. He was a starter last year on the state championship team. This year coming in off the bench and really adjusting to the role.
He's a valuable player.
Flynn dishes to Lomenick, who converts. And it's a 21-13 lead for City High. Up with it, Lomenick.
Smart. Excuse me, a smart play, though. He's trying to save it. Instead of saving it back, he saves it ahead where he can't get hurt.
And Chris Roby with his 5th point. A furious pace in the first quarter.
I wonder how much Iowa City can take of this kind of a pace game. I think East Waterloo can do it all night long.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing you were. They obviously haven't been in many games played at this pace. A timeout is called with 2:20 to go in the first quarter. City High is opened a 6-point lead. The score, City High 21, Waterloo East 15. We'll be back at Veterans Auditorium in just a moment. Waterloo East falls behind early, but here's a momentum maker coming up by Chris Roby.
We're going to see 2 of their 15 points. Roby gets it off baseline, and he's a good leaper. Up, takes it home, makes sure with 2 hands, grabs the rim to protect himself.
Furious offensive pace thus far, Gary, and both teams are shooting well, but certainly City High is shooting outstanding.
80%, that'll win a few ball games for you.
And that's the reason they lead by 6. But now East has a chance to draw even closer. With it is LaShane Sadler. Sadler mainly known for his defensive ability. Underneath, fighting for the rebound, and coming up with it is Wallacan.
And you've got to block off the boards to keep them off. That's one thing I was told about Iowa City. They have a tendency to release you, just go get the ball. But against this club, they are quick and active. I think you're going to have to put a body on it.
Good job by Sadler to knock it away from behind as Roan wanted to take it to the baseline. And so City High still has it, but breaking up what could have been an easy 2 by Roan was Sadler. This is Lomenick inbound as we look from the top of Betts Auditorium. The baseline drive by Lomenick, rejected, though, by Tyrone Williams.
Well, he's lucky to get the ball back because he really took the ball in traffic that time. Watch it right here. He tries to get by 1, takes it up against another, and you've got all white shirts surrounding Lomenick. There's the defense.
Tipped by McGee, coming up with it, Wallacan. Or make it Sadler, excuse me, LaShane Sadler on the breakaway. And suddenly what had been an 8-point lead for City High, now a 2-point lead. 1:34 to go in the opening quarter.
I've got to feel the pace of this game, and up and down the game is in favor of East Waterloo.
Schultz nails the 3. City High goes up by 5. And a foul is called on Young.
Well, that 3-pointer is not unusual. Blake Schultz, the school record holder for 3-point shot.
No basket. 35.
Waterloo East trailing by 5. 1:21 to go in the quarter. As you see Craig Snyder, he's working the game along with Gary Christensen.
Tim Linder doing a nice job here. He's going to have to see people in and out of this ball game with this pace.
And so now we'll find out just how good the bench is. Cortez McGee in and out. Rebound in the lane by Roby. He can really sky, but that time he gets stepped by Keeter and a jump ball is called. The possession arrow, though, will keep it in the Trojan end.
Well, this ball club for City High holds a lot of records. You just keep mentioning them. Brian Keeter holds all records in field goal shooting and block shot. You see, but watch as he gets loose right here inside. Takes it up for the shot, but a great block.
Back to live action. Waterloo East inbounds, but turns it over, and here come the Little Hawks, leading by 5. A minute to go in the first quarter. Almost a steal by Sadler. However, it did force the double dribble by Young. He didn't get the steal, but he got the ball for his team.
Well, like I say, they'll gamble a lot. They'll cover you, then they'll come from behind, show you an opening, and try and reach behind.
And Steve McGraw, at his third state for Waterloo East, makes the change. Brian Ross, a 6'2 senior, number 54, comes into the lineup. And he will take the place of Tyrone Williams. Here's McGee on the penetration. And the rebound is taken down by Brian Peter. And thus far, City High doing a good job of rebounding with a very good rebounding club, Waterloo East. Peter misfires, Roby rebounds, and quickly they go the other way with Cortez McGee. Now he will set up the half-court offense. Quick move by Roby. Oh, what a move.
Roby Sky right there. He just goes right over top of everybody. He's not worrying about size.
The baseline jumper by Peter.
Peter lost the handle on it, but still the presence of mind to get control and shoot the jumper. Looked like he's going to have an easy layup.
From behind the three-point barrier, Sadler taking a look, instead finding Roby. Rebound by Peter. City High has to hurry. Here is Schultz.
Boy, Cortez McGee, what a buzzer beater right there.
Blake Schultz, an academic all-stater, hits a big bucket. One of 3 he had in this first quarter. At the end of the first quarter with the score, City High 28, Waterloo East 21. We'll be back at Veterans Auditorium in just a moment.
This is John Campbell back at Vets, where City High leads East 28-21. Gary made a good point. The pace favors Waterloo East. Mike Davis is back in the ballgame, fellas.
Davis comes in with 2 fouls, so Steve McGraw hoping that Davis can play wisely here and not pick up his 3rd in the second quarter.
Well, if I was Iowa City right now with Davis in there, if they stay in their man-for-man, their basic defense, I would try and take it right to him. Show him with the ball a couple times with pump fakes, try to get a quick 3rd.
Blake Schultz, who beat the buzzer to end the first quarter, inbounds to begin the second quarter. And this is Jason Lomenick. Chad Flynn will make things happen from the point. Cortez McGee keeps an eye on him. The interior pass to Peter. And 3 white shirts around the basketball, and coming down with a rebound for Waterloo East is Mike Davis.
And Davis, a great athlete. You can see him didn't handle it as sharp as he can right there, but he can bring the ball up the court.
Galloway gets fouled. Andre Galloway trying to maneuver inside, and reaching in to touch him was Jason Lomenick. Lomenick with his first foul. That's the 3rd called against the Little Hawks. Meanwhile, 2 fouls, make it 3 fouls whistled thus far against Waterloo East.
Little Hawks still setting that 2-3. Nice pass.
Oh, what a pass indeed. Great pass thrown by Wallacan to Roby.
Well, Chris Roby's really been steady in this tournament. 10 points each game, 5 for 9 and 1 with 6 rebounds. Then comes back with 4 for 8 and 4 rebounds.
Schultz goes all the way and kicks out, and it's another rebound for Davis. Galloway gets it on the wing, and the shot's drilled by Cortez McGee.
You just never know where that ball's coming from when he's got it.
Well, you really don't, do you? Trojans back to within 3, and Chad Flynn brings it across the timeline.
Good bounce pass.
Peter, great touch off that baseline.
Well, if he gets the ball down that area, no, I don't think anyone's going to stop him offensively. Just a matter of whether he stops himself.
Certainly haven't so far. Tyrone Williams back into the lineup for Waterloo East. Also coming back in, Lashane Sadler is on the bench. Roby gets a breather, as does Wallacan. And Cortez McGee also pulled out of there by Coach Steve McGraw. This is Tellis Scott. A 5-point lead for City High. On the drive, Sadler. And the ball goes out of bounds and will be a jump ball. Nope. The official first ruled a jump ball. One says jump ball, and the other says that's what they say. They now agree on jump ball, and a possession error will keep it at this end. An offensive foul called on the push. That time it was Williams trying to find some opening and pushing to get there, and he creates a foul, which is his first and East's 4th. So on the next one, City High will be shooting free throws. Young fakes the long pass, and now the Little Hawks will bring it ahead.
It's little things like that to do a lot in the ballgame. He fakes the long throw, and right away 2 guys retreated to get back and allowed him to get it into bounds without too much pressure.
He is fouled by Sadler, and so Young will go to the line. Let's take another look at this.
Young, Sadler just chesting it along the way, and Brian Young can do a nice job of handling the ball. Watching some film, Shad Flynn, a lot of times will bring it up against the pressure, and then they'll give it to Byron Young as they get in their offensive set, allowing him to penetrate or run the game.
Young goes to the line. His coach, Tim Linder, thinks Division I schools are missing a bet if they don't take a look at Young, because he is a very young senior, doesn't turn 18 until August. And his development over the last 2 years has really been impressive.
You know, East Waterloo, as a team, they've got to think about what Iowa City did on the free throw line the other night when they failed to convert, shot very poorly. So that's got to be in their game plan if they should get in trouble in this game.
Sadler at the top to Galloway. 6:15 to go in the first half. City High playing defense and leading by 5. As inside it is Davis, and Keeter comes up with a great block on a real jumper in Davis, and then a foul is called on Lominick.
We said Peter, a great shot blocker. He holds all Iowa City's high records for game, season, and careers. Watch it. This time Davis goes the other way. But with that left hand, you see he has to bring it back to the inside, and Keeter's able to get to the basketball.
In fact, Keeter once had 12 blocks in a single game, which was a school record. Back into the lineup, Chris Roby, and leaving the lineup will be Tyrone Williams. And again, Steve McGraw continues to use his bench. Number 10, McGee back in. Number 34, Wallaton is back in. And back into the lineup for City High comes Blake Schultz, a 6'4 senior, who is number 1 in his class academically, straight A student.
And Schultz with 7 points in that first quarter. Peter was the leader with 10.
Wallaton tries to rebound. The Davis miss, and the rebound is taken down by Roan. Here is Schultz, challenged by McGee, and challenged by Davis, goaltender.
Let me tell you, Iowa City is getting out. What they're doing is cheating Schultz down. They're expecting Roan and Keeter to take care of the board. There you see him coming across right there. Goes up. Davis comes around. No doubt about that call. But they're cheating out because Waterloo is sending everybody to the board. He had nobody back protecting. Nice catch of the ball.
Davis underneath and back through and doesn't get the roll. Rebound Roby.
Now you got to play him for the drive. Sadler very seldom shoots. There he's only 3 shot attempts again. Got a man wide open again. They
find him. Young dishes ahead to Schultz. So City High can run pretty well too.
Well, they're running because they're cheating a man down. They're treating Schultz every time. Like I say, they're expecting Keeter and Rowan to do the rebounding. Also Young, right there, as I said, is a good rebounder, averaging 5.4 a game from that guard spot.
So City High now enjoying their biggest lead, up by 9. A chance to add to it as Flynn looked at Young cutting across, couldn't get it to him, tried to get it to Roan, but Roby knocks it away. And Roby and Sadler combine on the steal.
They're going to get a 4-on-3 here.
Pushes McGee. The tip is there by Wallaton.
Well, he's a leaper. He hits the offensive board. 18 rebounds and 20 points in the first 2 ball games for Wallaton.
A 7-point lead for City High. As Byron Young, the 6'2", 185-pound senior guard, brings it into the forward court.
Nice touch pass.
And
that was a beautiful pass. I mean, he just softened it from about his waist and just floated it up there and let Keeter go get it.
McGee tries to answer for Waterloo East, trying to keep the rebound alive. Wallaton. What a jumper he is.
Schultz cheating out again.
Davis doesn't get the roll. There's Wallaton again, didn't get it, but he's everywhere.
I've liked the last couple of times down what Iowa City's doing. When they come down fast and don't get it, they're trying to get into something that's a set offense, and I think that's good strategy for them.
Young will take it.
Well, Young, a 47% shooter.
And that gives City High an 11-point lead at 38-27, their biggest lead thus far. From just inside 3-point range, Wallaton misfires. And once again, City High doing a good job rebounding the basketball with a team that rebounds very, very well. At least they have in the state tournament. Changes for both squads. As Scott Keeter, the younger brother of Brian Keeter, will come to the lineup, number 33 for City High. But first, there's a timeout on the floor. Now, here's a word from your local station. On on the Waterloo East bench, Steve McGraw. He's been at the school since 1979. Right now his team trails by 11, and as you see, 20 years as the head coach overall, and what a job he has done. And his counterpart on the bench for City High, trying for back-to-back 3A championships, Ames native Tim Linder, who's at the school 9 years as an assistant, 5 years as a head coach, and certainly the last couple of years have been brilliant. Skeeter trying to get the ball inside, loses it, and the lead feed comes for Davis underneath. Oh, what a play. What a play by Mike Davis.
He had a big stuff in that semifinal game, too. He shows you some great athletic ability.
Coming up with a steal once again, Davis. In deep, Galloway. But the tip-in is right there by Rodney Wallacan. City High has got to get somebody to put a body on him, but it's easier said than done.
That's right. And the other thing they got to do in this fast-paced game, get under control. You don't want to try and put the ball on the floor too much around these guys. Quick hands and quickness all together. They're going to strip it.
Scott Keeter handling the ball well for a 6'6" player. Now he's got it in the paint.
Boy, wasn't real smooth, but he got the job done.
He did get it done, didn't he? A 9-point lead for the defending champs. 2:40 left to play in the first half. Davis underneath. What kind of magic this time? Well, not quite finishing it off. There's Wallacan again, another offensive rebound. Oh, he has really been impressive.
Got a 3-on-2 if he takes it. Well, he elected to hold up. He's going to get the shot.
Flynn misfires, and the rebound, and it rolls out of bounds. And let's see what a call has been made. A foul's been called. And it's called on City High. That time, Schultz going down and trying to get the loose basketball. Let's see where he picks up the foul.
Well, they say he rides him down right there. Both guys really kind of an excuse me foul, Larry, because these both kids off balance going down, but he definitely came over the top of it.
2:21 to go in the first half, and again, Steve McGraw making some changes. And Tyrone Williams has impressed me off the bench in the state tournament. Will come in. But first, some fouls to be shot. And some NCAA women's basketball finals, and certainly a disappointment for the people in Iowa City who are hoping that City High brings home a championship. But the University of Iowa women will not. Vanderbilt has won in Iowa City at Carver Hawkeye Arena. They knock off C. Vivian Stringer's Hawkeyes 61-56 in the NCAA and Mid-East Regional. In the other game, another disappointment for the Big Ten as South Carolina has knocked off Northwestern 76-67. Brian Keeter, 55, back into the lineup for City High.
Larry, in this fast pace of game, it's surprising me. East Waterloo, this is only the third free throw that they've shot. They've made all three.
Galloway converting a couple of times there. Galloway just a sophomore, and certainly with Galloway a sophomore and Cedric Robinson a freshman point guard, the backcourt looks bright for Waterloo East for the next couple of years. Nice drive underneath by Jason Lominick.
What a play. What a play. Underneath, he had to reach and stretch for everything he could get, and then the nice English off the glass.
When you think about it, so far, this has been a half of very, very spectacular plays.
Lominick could be a key kid. He's consistent coming off the bench.
Galloway misfires a three, and the rebound goes out of bounds. It belongs to City High. Now Mike Davis will come back in for the Trojans, and again, he is their leading scorer on the year, and in fact, the leading 3A scorer in the tournament at 21.9 coming in. As far in the tournament, 16 against Davenport North and 28 against Indianola.
And I don't know if you mentioned it, but Mike Davis was tied for first in the tournament scoring, 44 points. The other guy with a 44 is right on this court, Byron Young.
And that is Young with the ball, now dishing it off to Schultz.
He got him where he wanted, down low, 101.
Boy, he misses very rarely from that range. He has got 8 buckets now, and I'll bet he hasn't missed more than 2.
That's right. I thought maybe Peter might not be physical enough for this game, but he's more than holding his own.
Galloway tried to go baseline, choked off though by Keeter, so he has to send it back outside.
Well, they have to know about Galloway. Let him shoot the ball, because so far he has not, in the 2 games coming in, he had not attempted a shot.
Nice shot by Mike Davis. Davis, an outstanding one-on-one player. Pulls the Trojans back with a 9 in the final minute of the second quarter. Roby lead feed for Galloway with Young challenging him and fouling him.
See, I think Byron Young makes a mistake there that a lot of athletes make. High school, college, or whatnot. He just times it to go for the leap. See that? If he'd have really hustled back, he could have got back and maybe established his defensive position. But they think they can block the shot. They double pumps it, takes it away from him, and draws the foul.
And it will send Galloway to the line a moment ago. Galloway, who's a 67% free throw shooter on the year, was 2 out of 2. And Steve McGraw continues to shuffle people in and out as Davis will take a rest.
Mike Davis didn't look too happy with Steve McGraw talking to him. Something he wants to get straightened out.
But you know, one thing you got to figure, if you're McGraw, is Davis has 2 fouls, and you surely don't want him to pick up his 3rd foul with 44 seconds to go.
Right. But kids don't understand that.
No, they want to play all 32 minutes in the championship game.
Larry, I got to say, I'm so caught up in this game and the excitement of it. I hadn't even looked up at the clock. It's just exciting watching. You're definitely right. 44 seconds. That's the reason he's getting them out.
And it has been a great show, Gary. There's no question about that.
Terrific basketball game.
Chad Flynn bringing it up for the Little Hawks.
I was going to say, don't put down Iowa basketball.
Oh, I know, not at all.
Pretty good right here.
Straight up. Straight up. Straight up, 42.
Good look.
Peter finally missed one, and that has been rare, but this time City High on the miss gets a break.
Yeah, that ball's so short. A surprise defenseman, Brian Ross, 54 there. Wasn't ready for that.
6'8" senior, Keeter to trigger. And Schultz behind the three-point barrier. Now Flynn takes a 3 and hits a 3.
Oh, I say, I'm surprised that Flynn's so aggressive. 36% shooting on the year and only 28% from the three-point side. Boy, there's a bomb.
But when you have outstanding offensive rebound, you can get away with it, and Tyrone Williams was right there for the putback.
Well, Iowa City wants to move it down quick. They got 4 seconds.
Flynn for 3, not this time. But Gary, in the final half minute there, you saw nobody playing for the last shot. That's just not the tempo of this game. And so we have reached halftime of a thrilling 3A championship game. Not since Dubuque Waller did it in 80 and 81 as a 3A team won back-to-back titles. City High trying to do that, and they walk off the floor at halftime up by 8. That's the end of the first half with the score. City High 47 and Waterloo East 39. We'll be back after this word from your local station. Indication we're gearing up for quite a finish. An 8-point lead for City High at the half. Let's go down to Mo Kelly.
Ladies and gentlemen, to present the Lyle T. Quinn Awards and also awards to our Hall of Fame inductees for 1990, 2 members of the Board of Control of the Iowa High School Athletic Association. To my far right is Ron Bickford, the Superintendent of Schools at Danville. And next to Mr. Bickford is Terry Egan, High School Principal at Oskaloosa. Lyle Quinn was the longtime Executive Secretary of the Iowa High School Athletic Association. In fact, for about 25 years, he held that position. He was held in high esteem not only in our state, but in the nation as a leader in our interscholastic athletic program. And in his honor, each year at our state tournament, we present the Lyle T. Quinn Award to some of those people that we think are very much important as far as our high school athletic program is concerned, not just for short periods of time, but over a long period of time, and contributors in many, many different ways. We have 4 honorees this evening we'd like to introduce to you. One, our first Lyle T. Quinn Award winner for 1990 has been the longtime superintendent of the Tipton schools. Started as a teacher, worked his way through the ranks, and has been superintendent there for a number of years. On a statewide basis, he's a former president of the Iowa Association of School Administrators. Our highest award, the Lyle T. Quinn Award, to Tipton Superintendent Bill Diedrichson, accompanied by his wife Margaret. Roland Dyer has served in several Iowa schools, but for the past 23 years, he's been at Atlantic High School serving as vice principal and athletic director. He's a former teacher, former coach of many different sports, He's also been the Iowa Athletic Director of the Year. He's been the president of that organization, and he has served on our Iowa High School Athletic Association Board of Control. As a matter of fact, is still serving on that board. The Lyle T. Quinn Award 1990 to Roland Dyer, accompanied by his wife Karen. Another gentleman who has served in many, many different capacities, now retired, but prior to that, he was a teacher, he was a coach, he was an athletic official, he was a school administrator, served in the State Department of Education for a period of time, and during that time also served on the Board of Control of the Iowa High School Athletic Association. Please meet Dr. Richard Smith and his wife Verona. Dick Wagner of Burlington has also been a member of the Burlington staff for a number of years and has served in many different capacities. For the past several years, he's been athletic director and a very highly respected athletic director statewide. Dick also was an outstanding baseball coach, had several teams in our state baseball tournament, and one of them captured a state championship. Our final inductee of the very prestigious Lyle T. Quinn Award for 1990 to Athletic Director Dick Wagner of Burlington. He's accompanied by his secretary, Mrs. Rosemary Harkness. Ladies and gentlemen, it's always a great pleasure to announce the new inductees in our Iowa High School Basketball Hall of Fame. We have some great former coaches, some great former players that we'd like to mention this evening and draw their attention to you. And we begin with the coaching category first. Our first inductee in the 1990 Iowa High School Basketball Hall of Fame was a coach at Farnhamville. He was a coach at Aurelia. He was a coach at Clarion. As a matter of fact, most of his time spent at Clarion, some 16 years. Over 200 basketball victories in those 16 years. Brought a team to the state tournament in 1959. He was named Buena Vista Coach of the Year, a graduate of BV, and named Buena Vista Coach of the Year on 2 different occasions. Our first inductee, coach from Clarion, Lou Collier, accompanied by his wife, Verna. Another gentleman with an outstanding coaching record, an outstanding athlete himself, both in high school and in college. Started his coaching career quite a distance from here, out in Virginia, but he wasn't there long, and we're happy for that. He came back to Iowa and spent 9 years as the head coach at Storm Lake. Had 3 or 4 teams in our state tournament, including a state championship team and another that finished in the top 4. Accumulated a great coaching record at the high school level, then went on to Iowa Wesleyan College and duplicated that feat with an outstanding job there. Meet Hall of Fame coach from Storm Lake, Barry Holtgrew, accompanied by his wife Lois. Another very well-known coach, the late Paul Maskey. Paul served in high schools at Wheatland and Grinnell, had a Wheatland team in the state tournament. After coaching in high school ball at those 2 schools, he went on to Cornell College and had tremendous success as the coach at Cornell. And here to accept the honor for the late Paul Maskey, we're very pleased to introduce his children. They are Steve, Lynn, and Tim, the Maskeys. And our final coach inductee for this year has spent most of his time at Rock Valley, an outstanding coach in both basketball and baseball. He retired from the basketball duties a year or so ago after some 15 years and over 200 wins, 4 teams in our state tournament during that time, and in baseball, some 25 years of service and many, many appearances in our state baseball tournament. How about a big hand for coach inductee from Rock Valley, Robert Miller, accompanied by his wife, Sandra. And now we turn to our former players, and we have some great ones to introduce to you again this year, beginning with a Des Moines Hoover athlete who earned all-state honors 3 years, competed in our state tournament, still holds some 10 or 11 school records at Hoover, went on to Western Illinois and set an all-time scoring mark there, and holds many, many records at that university. As a matter of fact, they've retired his jersey. He was so outstanding during that collegiate career. So an outstanding high school player, an outstanding college player. Meet Des Moines Hoover's Joe Dykstra, accompanied by his wife, Lisa. Our next inductee in the late 60s and early 70s had an outstanding career. A top-notch shooter, a fine ball handler. He led his team to its first state tournament appearance. This young man averaged, over a 4-year career, almost 30 points per ball game. He held the Iowa State career scoring mark for some 10 years until it was broken by Todd Birkenpass of Maple Valley. He later went on and performed very well as an all-conference player at North Dakota. How about a big hand for Hall of Famer from Boone United Community, Jim Goodrich, accompanied by his wife, Lori. And our final inductee performed on a state championship team, Iowa City West, in our state tournament as a high school star, was, of course, first team All-State. Later went to the University of Iowa and performed very well there. As a Hawkeye, he was on a team that was a Big Ten co-champion. He was on another Hawkeye team that made the Final Four. We'd like to introduce to you an outstanding high school player at Iowa City West on a championship team, and a former Iowa Hawkeye standout from Iowa City West, Steve Waite, accompanied by his wife, Karen. It always gives us a great deal of pride to introduce you to some of the greats in Iowa high school basketball. Another outstanding class this year. Another big hand for all of our Hall of Famers. Thank you very much.
Halftime of the 3A championship game, and Gary, I think that guy's auditioning for maybe a job as sideline reporter here next year.
Iowa High School Athletic Association State Basketball Tournament. My name's Freddie, Ready Freddie, and I'm always ready. I'm only 4 years old, but I sure am enjoying the state tournament. Oh, is this a good time for everybody?
Look out, John Campbell, your job may be in jeopardy. We'll be back at Veterans Memorial Auditorium in a moment after this pause for station identification. The halftime score, City High, the defending champs, 47, and Waterloo East, 39. Now let's go down to John Campbell.
Thank you very much, Larry. Joining us now at halftime of this 3A game is Bernie Sagaw, the Executive Secretary of the Iowa High School Athletic Association. And we have a good final game going here tonight.
It's exciting. A lot of enthusiasm and a lot of speed on that court, I can tell you that.
That's for sure. You know, another thing on that court, 3 very good officials. And this is becoming an area problem, I know, with high school sports, is the number of officials. It's going down, isn't it?
Well, I think a little. I think one of the reasons we have a shortage of officials is the fact that some of the younger fellows getting started sometimes the crowd's not as kind as they should be, and I think it discouraged them a great deal. And I think that's one of the reasons we have fewer officials.
I had a gentleman tell me that because we're having fewer officials, it may mean that we'll see high school games almost every night of the week just so they can have enough officials to do these games.
Well, that's not going to happen in our state. We'll have enough officials, and our school administrators, they'll see to it that we get some trained. We'll take the usual nights, and that's all.
How about the idea of consolidation and cooperative programs, Bernie? How is that changing the face of high school sports here in Iowa?
Well, 1/3 of all the schools in the state of Iowa are now under a cooperative program of some sort. So I feel it has a great impact. It's showing people, though, that youngsters from 2 different schools can be on the same team and do a good job. And I think it's a good learning situation for youngsters to have that opportunity.
I was kidding with you before we went on about the idea that some of these schools then become 3, 4, 5 names, and it makes it a little hard for us in broadcasting with all these names. And then we saw another school come up, and they called themselves North Iowa.
Well, every school district does it different. You know, there isn't anything in our state that makes us any greater than the pride we have in our schools and our communities. And where schools can go together, if it make everybody happy, if they have 5 names, so be it, as long as it's good for kids.
Any burning issues right now that you're trying to deal with the High School Athletic Association?
Oh, I think one of the new ventures, and you people have done a good job covering it this week, is the fact that this year we started a substance abuse program and a wellness program. We're the first state to ever go to wellness. If you're going to tell youngsters not what to do, maybe you should tell them what to do. And that's been our philosophy. And the other problem I guess we really have is to make sure that we can keep high school athletics where it's supposed to be. It's not a feeding system for universities and colleges. It's an activity for kids to learn a lot of good values. And if they're learning those values, then we got a successful program.
We still having a high participation rate at the high school level, do you think?
Tremendous. You know, we've had a great decline of enrollment in our state, and yet we have not had a decline as far as the number of students participating in all activities, not just boys athletics, girls athletics, music, speech, debate, drama. And I think maybe that's why we have one of the finest school systems in America, is because of our activity programs along with our great academics.
Bernie Sago, thank you very much.
My pleasure, and thank you.
Okay, Bernie Sago, our guest here at halftime. Back up to you, Larry.
Okay, John, thanks very much, and we'll be back at Veterans Auditorium in just a moment. A pleasure to be working tonight with, from Channel 9 in Cedar Rapids, KCRG Sports Director John Campbell. And John, that was quite a first half.
Indeed it was, Larry, and some great athletic plays by some great athletes in this first half, and we want to check some of that action out on the highlights of the first half. And we're going to pick things up first of all with City High and Brian Keeter, their very good man in the middle. Nice pass underneath, and Keeter puts it off the glass and in. Now, this is Blake Schultz, 3-pointer from the corner. City High up by 5 in the first. Keeter this time feeds ahead to Schultz, and right before the buzzer, he puts it in, 28-21. Some East action. Cortez McGee to Chris Roby, and boy, he's showing us a few moves tonight. How about this two-handed slam? Mike Davis has been in foul trouble a little bit here in the first half, but he's blocked in there by Keeter. He's not going to be blocked on this play. The ball up ahead to Davis. He'll bring it all the way around, then that big left-hand jam. And finally, Jason Lomanik, maybe the move of the night, kind of hangs in the air, puts the English on it, and City High leads East 47-39 at half. And we'll be back with the start of the second half after this word from your local station.
Gary Thompson, one statistic certainly stands out at the half.
It certainly does. Jumps right out to you, and that's the field goal shooting percentage. Iowa City blistering hot, 63% to 39.5 for Waterloo East. Part of that 62-9 has been the fact that he cheated out on Blake Schultz, and he got out on the transition and the long pass down court and got some easy layups.
Let's take a look at the individual scoring so far. And for City High, Schultz with 11 points. Now, he had scored a total of 16 in the first 2 games of the tournament, so that cheating out, as you call it, really working for him.
Well, they're taking advantage of East High going to the boards and releasing him and finding him open. The surprise there, Byron Young, only 4 points.
For Waterloo East, the man missing there in the top 3 scores, Cortez McGee. He averages 19.6 on the year, has scored 18 and 17 in the 2 games in this tournament, but just 2 of 11 shooting in the first half. I would have to think he'd have to get hot for the Trojans to mount a comeback.
Well, he has to, I'm sure of that. I said about him, he's not a great shooter, he's a scorer. He's got to find ways to score, either going to the foul line, penetration, steals, and layups. And then mix in some shots.
City High with an 8-point lead has the ball to begin the second half.
Well, if our fans watched the 2A championship, and I'm sure they did, Pella Christian come right out and hit 2 quick shots and just took the ball game right away.
It was really over right there. You're right.
Yeah.
Here is City High with the lead and a chance at a three-point play to get things started as they go right to the middle to Brian Keeter. He is now 9 out of 13 from the field.
That's a similar situation. They find Brian Keeter busting across. He goes up, and with his height, just cannot get up there. I think that's Roby with the foul, and they got a chance to do just what Pella Christian did, open up the second half with a three-point play.
Could have been Roby. As it is, they assess it to Cortez McGee.
Cortez.
Keeter hits the free throw, give him 19 points and an outstanding championship game thus far. Number 35 is Roby, number 10 is McGee, and Gary, just what you talked about, not a great shooter, but he is a scorer.
That's right, he's got to create something, and that he does it on the penetration and shortens up the shot.
So City High comes down with a 9-point lead, 30 seconds gone in the third quarter of the championship game. That is Flynn. Now Young comes around to take the pass, and all over him, LaShane Sadler. Sadler, not a scorer at all, but an excellent defensive player. But that time, he really proved his quickness, because Sadler looked like he stayed right with him, and then Young started to get around him, so Sadler fouled him.
Well, they're two good athletes. Byron Young right here gets bumped there, and now he makes his mistake, I think, of reaching right there on the first move.
Out of bounds, man.
So triggering it will be Shad Flynn, the 6-foot senior, has been just an excellent player in so many sports for City High. Winding up his basketball career here in the title game. Does Keeter still have the hot hand? Not this time. And Davis pulls down the rebound for East.
Good.
Bullet pass to McGee. He's hit 2 in a row.
That's right. Great pass by Davis. Shows you his all-around athletic ability. Rebound, score himself, or give it off.
If you are cheering for Waterloo East, McGee's 2 quick baskets, good news for you. Keeter hits the turnaround. He has been unstoppable thus far. Already has 5 points in the quarter and 21 for the game.
Boy, he saw some quickness there. Walligan just outrunning Schultz. Schultz had a head start on him, too, as far as speed.
McGee dishes it off, and the drive is good by Roby. Roby, by the way, the nephew of the Miami Dolphins place kicker who had the great career at Iowa, Reggie Roby. 7-point lead for City High. But the way Waterloo East can score in bunches, you get the feeling no lead for them is going to be insurmountable for a while. Keeter a chance at another 3-point play with a foul on Wallakin.
Boy, Keeter's really delivering, but you got to credit the other Little Hawk players of finding him in his offense under this pressure. Cortez McGee gives the ball off underneath. You see it, he takes it up right there and said a good no call as he puts it down. Roby. Now here's Schultz. Tried to double team him into Keeter again, gets hacked on the wrist, puts it down. As we come back live, he'll be there for the conventional 3-point play.
So in the quarter so far, it is now Keeter 8 and Waterloo East 6. Keeter with all the points thus far for the Little Hawks, and they lead by 10. Davis in the middle, a dribble, a shot, and a miss. Davis his own rebound. Yes.
Oh. Explanation point on that one.
2 minutes played in the third quarter.